Hey, what's going on? Well, today is 3/11/23. So I thought it'd be a good time to do a 12-year video from 3/11/11 with the Fukushima meltdown. Did you know that Americans have the highest levels of radiation permissible in our food? The most in the planet, and we're talking 1,200 becquerels per kilogram is what they raised it to. Now the rest of the world is at 100. So the European Union put standards onto 100 becquerels per kilogram of cesium-137, cesium-134. And that is the isotopes of low meltdown nuclear reactor accidents. So you have low temperature reactors like Chernobyl and a few others, and the one we're talking about today is Fukushima. You're going to get these isotopes. They have different half-lives now. If you look at 1,200 becquerels per kilogram, okay, compared to the rest of the world, 100, that's 12 times higher. Our food is 12 times higher in permissible amount of radiation permitted for us to eat than the rest of the world. Now you won't find this, it's going to be very difficult. I came up with the 12 because I had it really search the internet because they really don't want us to know these things, okay? And it did change, okay. You know, one time it was 370 becquerels, okay, right after Chernobyl. But then Fukushima happened what they do. They knew we were going to get food from Japan, and guess what? Countries never permitted any food from Japan because of this. Canada, Australia, that's kind of funny. Australia, who mines uranium, doesn't permit radioactive food for their people. New Zealand, South Korea till today. Today, as I sit here, China, Russia, and Taiwan won't touch that food because it's radioactive in Japan. What they're doing, they have their stat. They've been clear this thing up for 10 years, and they got these 1-ton bags, 33 million of them. Somebody came up with that number, but you can look on Google and you'll see these things literally entire country. And they're losing these things and storms, and not only they lose these things are breaking. They're farming rice next door to these things. You can look this up. Look at it, grab it before Google takes it down because Google will put clouds over these places so you can't find this stuff. So now it comes across the ocean, it goes to California. Don't eat nothing from California, it gets labeled whatever. And you know that our government has only done 1,500 food tests in the last 10 years. 2 years ago, they did a total of 150, 20. 20 nuclear tests for the thousands and thousands and thousands of tons of food that comes from there. 20 tests in 1 year, 150. Or I think it's 150 total. It should have been like 150,000, okay. Now they're saying, oh, it's okay. You know what they did? They raised the food, the permissible limits, this is not, and I'll talk about the other limits of 1,200 becquerels and United Nations European Union. Everybody in Europe has it under 112 times the amount. Now you can't find the 12 times part, they just give you the numbers because they think we're all stupid. If you know your math, you divide that out, it's 12 times the amount, and then you want to put that in percentages ready for this 1,100 increase. You and me and the rest of the Americans are allowed to eat food that's contaminated with radioactivity of cesium-134 and 137. These are fallouts. They're in the food 1,100 times percent higher than our buddies over there. Anywhere in Europe, yeah, unbelievable. Okay. Now, you know, you guys are watching, what are you watching the news today this week was a couple people that went over the border to get some kind of medical treatment. And oh, don't go across the border, they're gonna kill you. You know, dear porn fear. And they're pushing that on all the news medias. And what's the news? The news is this is 12 years since Fukushima. This stuff is still melting. And now they're going to dump millions of gallons of radioactive water, which they've been doing all along. The starfish are dead. They're blaming it on some kind of disease. Of course they are. The sea urchins are dead, and they're not testing the food that they're shipping to us. They are tested at 1,500 tests in 10 years, and they raised the limits. Our president's been raising these limits. Why? Because we got to eat that poisonous radioactive food that's coming over from Japan, and they're growing rice and vegetables next to these thousands and thousands of 1-ton bags. And by the stuff in the bags isn't even cesium, it's uranium. This stuff's got half-life of thousands and thousands of years. And everybody, and not everybody, 30% of all the kids in Japan have issues with their throats, you know, and they say nobody died. Now, any people that's going to say underneath this thing as a comment, well, nobody died at Fukushima, you're an idiot, you're ignorant, Europe, you have cognitive dissonance, you have no individualism, you have no critical thinking capabilities whatsoever. Do you know what they're doing? This thing went down? They were paying people's families to bring their old grandparents to clean the place up. They gave thousands, that there's $5,000-$10,000 per grandpa, grandma, whatever they put them in white suits. And they're cleaning the place up, though they didn't die there, they died after they left, oh yeah. And you know, look at all the people now, they're getting sick and dying from cancer. Excuse my voice, probably from Fukushima. From Chernobyl 20-30 years later, man, you don't die right away. What about those bombs that blew up in Japan? They're not compared to the stuff we blew up in our deserts. Unbelievable. And so the news is, that they're fear porn. Okay, expect it. I only have one page of notes today that didn't even notes, they're scribbles. So in 1973, now this is eating food. Let's break away from that. Let's go to the next level here, next paragraph, all right? So back in 1973, what was the 1973? Oh, well, in 63, they quit doing those bombs because our president candidates is no more blowing up atomic bombs in the West. For you, well, it was the first time they raised it, they gave us limits of 25 milliramps. Now, I'm not going to get into what becquerels are. Millirams and rams, just think of the numbers for now. Okay. If you want to learn about all this scientific nomenclatures, you can look it up yourself, but 25 mil of rep. Okay, then what they did is, they raised it, after what was that accident, 3 Mile Island. What about all the other releases, There's a couple been in Chicago, yeah, a couple up in the mountains. Yeah, they'll tell you about any of this stuff. Okay, they raise it to 1,000, okay. And they said that it was still 100 there. I'm sorry they rated to 100, but ready for this, if you live near a nuclear reactor, it's 1,000. 1,000 milligrams, it's okay for you to live near a nuclear reactor. But the rest of us, it's 100. Something not right with that, ready for this one, and because there's so many people being exposed to radiation in the workplace, they bumped it to 5,000 milligrams for workers. And you know what? Going from that's a 4,900% increase. Yeah, you can go to work, get exposed, it's okay, go to cafeteria. Oh, eat some radioactive cesium-induced food, because 1,200 becquerels is what we're allowed. But if you take that apple and you try to go to Europe with it, they're going to test that apple before you take it over the border and say, we got a rule 100. We got 100. These are your last administrations that did this. And even today, China, Taiwan, or Russia, you know what? Russia won't touch that food from Japan, no, because they know it's not good. That is their food. You cannot. They're literally growing rice next to hundreds of thousands of 1-ton bags full of uranium. You could throw a stone from the rice paddy to the contaminated storage. It's unbelievable. And so that's your news. It ain't somebody going over, okay, I'm sorry.